Okay.
Okay,
Can you hear us?
can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Scrives, can you unmute just so I make sure that I can hear you?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. Okay. All right, I'll call cause number 98597E in the department versus Ashley Brewer and Robert Scrive. Is it Scrives or Scrives?
Ciphers.
Cyphers. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And we are here today on a request by the Department of Family and Protective Services for an order in aid of investigation. I reviewed the affidavit that was presented to me in this matter on Friday, I believe it was presented.
Judge, do you need to be recording? You don't have a recorder.
I would like one.
I will. Just a minute. Okay. So before we get started, just a few things for the record. I reviewed this Friday when it was presented, and I have a couple of choices in these kinds of cases. This is for the parents' benefit. Obviously, Mr. Alvey is aware of this, but I can either just sign what we call an ex parte order, and then they would have come back out to present that to you. It would have been a court order without you all having any opportunity to appear before me or to talk to me. But on a lot of these, I prefer to give parents the opportunity to sort of tell me their side of things before I make a decision whether I'm going to authorize an order in the investigation that's going on. So these are very short time fuses for obvious reasons, because if there's allegations of the children being potentially in harm's way, then, you know, if I'm going to have a hearing on this, I have to do it very quickly. Okay. So I understand that, you know, you all feel like this is all happening very quickly, and you are correct. It is. But the law is written that way because if children are at risk, we can't just be sitting back, you know, waiting and waiting and waiting. Okay.
These look at risk.
So, I will, for the record, say that Mr. Alvey is present on behalf of the Department of Family and Protective Services. It looks like Ms. Jorrant is present Ms. Jorrant, were you the investigator on this case?
No.
Mr. Valdez.
Yes, so I'm his supervisor now, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Valdez is the investigator on this. Ms. Jorrant is present as his supervisor, and then both parents are present, Ashley Brewer and Robert Cipher. Ms. Canada is also present with us today, and she is Mr. Alvey's right-hand individual. Just so you know.
So Valdez is not present?
He is.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
When you're on the phone, you probably only see the person who is speaking at the moment, but when he's testifying today, then you will be seeing him. So he is present.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Alvey, if you wish to call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call Mr. Joseph Valdez.
All right, Mr. Valdez, if you will, please, sir, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay.
Mr. Valdez, you're an investigator working with the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services.
Yes, sir.
In that capacity, are you familiar with the Brewer family, specifically Gage Brewer? Can't read my own writing. Radu Ciphers and Avery Ciphers.
Yes, sir.
And those are the three children that are in this family.
Yes, sir.
Gage is 16. And I'm not sure. Raider is 10. Avery is 8.
Yes, sir.
The children's mother is Miss Ashley Brewer,
Yes, sir.
and the father to the younger two children is Mr. Robert Cyphers.
Yes, sir.
How did you become involved with this family?
I had previous dealings with this family on January 29th. I received a report with some concerns of physical neglect by the mother, Ashley, and the father, Robert, to the children. Concerns were there was no food in the home, children are hungry, no electricity in the home. Parents are fighting regularly and it becomes physical at times. Concerns with children missing school due to parents not taking them regularly. Concerns with the home being dirty.
They go,
And concerns with the mother using possibly narcotics.
Hang on just a minute, Mr.
The
Valdez.
father back on the home.
Hold on just a minute. Okay, Ms. Brewer, you all are gonna have to be quiet because we can't hear.
I told him to be quiet. I mean,
Okay, kiddos, I know, this is cool being on Zoom and all that stuff, but you guys are gonna have to be quiet or I'll have to mute.
that's not why. They're not trying to be cool. They just think that it's, but okay.
No, they're kids, okay? It's fine. I'm not upset with them. I'm not upset with anybody. I'm just telling you all, it picks up everything. And so it makes it really difficult for me to hear what the person who's testifying is saying. And trust me, you want me to hear what everybody says. So I can mute you while he's speaking, and that way then if they want to talk, then it's fine. So you want me to just do that?
No, I was telling them to be quiet. It was just it's not because they think it's cool. They just think that it's crazy what they're saying, but that's it. I told them to hush. We'll be
Okay,
fine.
well, let me just remind you that I could have the children wait outside of the courtroom. I
brought them so it's proof, so y'all could see them.
I'm
That
not,
was it.
Ms. Brewer, understand me. This is not a negotiation. I do not have to allow them to remain in the courtroom.
Well,
Okay.
I don't want to be in this
I
courtroom.
can have them seated outside. I
Enough.
can have them seated outside.
Well, one is going outside because he's emotionally upset because he does not want this to happen, and they all think that it's a joke because they are not abused, and that's why they're
Okay.
laughing.
Okay,
But I will tell them to leave. I brought them specifically so y'all could see them because y'all thought I was keeping them from y'all. So that's why they're here. I just want the
Ms.
court to
Brewer.
know this.
Ms. Brewer,
Yeah, we're gonna be
they are
silent.
welcome to
I have to
stay. They are welcome to stay if they want.
be quiet.
I will either mute you or they've got to be quiet. That's all I'm trying to ask of you. This is
And
not,
I told them to be quiet.
okay, you will get a chance to tell me the things you want to tell me, but right now is not the time. Okay?
Yep.
All right, Mr. Valdez. All right, Mr. Albee, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Valdez, is it your job when a report comes in to investigate that report?
Yes, sir.
And when I say investigate, does that mean attempt to determine if the report is true or untrue?
Yes, sir.
And what did you do when this report came in to determine if it was true or untrue?
I contacted with the allegations of Robert being back in the home, and the mother possibly being the one that bonded him out. I contacted Randall County District Attorney's Office, inquired about his pending charges that he has, and his bond restrictions. I was told that he is out on bond, and he's not supposed to have any contact with his victim, which would be Ashley Brewer. There was no restrictions as far as regarding him around the children. He's just not supposed to be around Ashley or 200 yards within Ashley Brewer. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, Mr. Valdez, just continue, please. What, after you talked with the bondsman, what did you do next?
I attempted to go speak to Avery and Raiden at school. Per the mother, the school has to notify the mother before CPS or anybody talks to the children. I just laid eyes on them at that time. I left the school. I attempted contact at the address on Southwest 4th Avenue. I was told that Ashley was in the shower, that I needed to come back later. I was told Gage was home. Gage came to the front door. I saw him from a distance. I left. I went back to that residence on Southwest 4th later that afternoon, made contact with Ashley, attempted to discuss things with Ashley. I told her I was going to have to go over the Form 3010 with all her rights and all that stuff. And she told me she basically didn't have time for this shit.
So were you able to interview the children at all on this new report?
No, sir.
On this new report, have you been able to have access to the home to see if the home is safe?
No, sir.
Is there a history of domestic violence and drug use in this family?
Yes, sir.
And is it important then to determine the safety of the children by having a conversation with them outside the presence of their parents and have access to the home just as a walkthrough?
Yes, sir.
Today, are you asking that the court order that Ms. Brewer allow you access to her home so that you can walk through it to determine if there are safety concerns?
Yes, sir.
And are you asking the court to order that you'll be allowed to have individual conversations with the children outside the presence of their parents?
Yes, sir.
Do you believe all of that would be in the best interest of the children to determine their safety?
Yes, sir.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Brewer, this is your opportunity to ask Mr. Valdez any questions. This is not where you get to tell me what you want to tell me. This is the time where you ask him any questions that you may have of him as a witness.
Okay, do we also get to call our own witnesses?
Yes, ma'am, you'll have an opportunity to do that, but not right now.
Okay. Okay. Then I have a question for Mr. Valdez. Did you or did you not say that the allegations were of my children, their physical abuse and physical neglect? Is that correct?
Physical neglect.
Physical neglect? What does physical mean?
Physical neglect by not meeting their basic needs, with the children making outcries of no food in the home, no electricity, and a dirty home.
Was that proven? Do you have proof of that? Do you have proof no food?
I don't have proof.
But okay, but if the kid has no food, do they look, you said that when you saw them, that you were physically able to see them, right? All three?
Correct.
Right? Okay, did they look hungry when you saw them?
I saw them from a distance. I did not see them up close.
Oh, okay, and also my question, about that from a distance thing. I was actually getting out of the shower when I caught the end of y'all's conversation. Gage stepped outside to talk to you. There was nobody stopping you.
Objection, Your Honor, to the statements being made as opposed to questions being asked.
Sustained? Okay, Ms. Brewer, question.
I was getting to the question. Okay, you said that you were unable to.
Question.
I'm asking. You said you were unable to talk to Gage. How were you unable?
He came to the door and went back in.
I believe.
And you've told me before
is that
not
how
to
it
speak to
happened?
your kids without you.
But the paper was not enforced at home or at a place that we're at. That was not in the school. Nobody enforced a paper on you. I believe.
Objection to the statements being made, Your Honor, and the arguments being made as argumentative.
Sustained, Ms. Brewer, asking questions.
Okay, wasn't it you that said, I'm good, that's all I needed, and you drove off?
I cannot speak to Gage without your permission with him being at home.
That paper, okay, who was on that, listed on that paper at Western Plateau when you went there and they told you that?
They told me that they have to notify mother, which is Ashley,
For which children?
Braden, and Avery.
Okay, when you went, did you go to the high school and ask them the same thing? And did
I
they
did
tell you?
not go to the high school. I went to your address.
Oh, but you did say on the paper, it says you went to the high school and talked to them the next day.
About his, in regards to his attendance.
Okay, but it says you also asked them about his appearance. They were not concerned. But did they give you a paper stating the same thing?
I did not receive any paper. I was told verbally.
Okay, so when he came to the door, what made you think you were unable to talk to him?
With him being at home, I have to get your permission first.
You didn't give me time. Did you give me time to give you permission at that moment right there?
I was told that you were in the shower and that I needed to come back later in a couple hours.
But when you asked for Gage afterwards, did he go get Gage?
He came to the door. I saw Gage, and again, I could not speak to him without your permission.
Who did you ask to go get Gage? And who
The
who
male
told you I was
identified
in the shower?
himself as Linnell or Lionel.
Wait. You guys, you're both talking over each other. Mr. Valdez, just let her ask a question. Yeah.
Okay, who is it that you spoke to that said I was in the shower and that you asked to go get Gage?
He identified himself as Linnell or Lionel. I cannot recall.
Okay, and did he go get him?
He said, "I'll be right back." And then he came back, and then Gage came to the door.
So would one say that that would be a pretty good estimate to say that that was giving you consent?
No, because I had to get consent from you as his mother.
Okay, well, second question. What proof do you have that there is use of narcotics in my pet? Like, what proof do you have that I have passed of narcotics or that I use methamphetamine?
Ms. Brewer, let me just, this may save everybody some time.
I don't.
The whole reason we are here today is because Mr. Valdez has not had access to interview the children or access to the home. That's where the proof comes from. All we're here to do today is to determine whether or not they've got probable cause to enter into your home, to take a look at things. Okay, nothing more than that, and to talk with the children. So
He was free to ask a lot of questions. I want to be able to do the same. I have the right, don't I?
you have the right, Ms. Brewer, to ask relevant questions
That
to
was-
this proceeding. I'm just telling you what you're
It
asking.
was the same.
Ms. Brewer,
So the other guy could
Brewer.
ask him
Ms.
if he
Brewer,
has.
Ms. Brewer, stop talking.
Of course, of course.
I'm just telling you, you're wasting your time in asking him about, does he have proof for this or proof for that or proof of anything else? Because that is not what is at subject here. The
Well,
answer
he made him.
is, hang
Then
on,
why did he ask him about my use in the first place?
Ms. Brewer, you can ask him that question, but don't start asking about, does he have proof of things? Because that's not
Okay.
relevant to this proceeding.
All right. Okay. Then I will reword the question. I'm not a licensed attorney, so I don't know the language, but I'm doing my best.
And I'm
Now,
trying to explain to you what the parameters are.
okay. And I will do my best to understand this language. Now, okay. What makes him think that I have past use of methamphetamine or current at that? What makes that valid in assuming that?
It's just an allegation. I don't know until I can talk to you about it. It's just an allegation on my report.
Okay, then why was it worded as a fact?
From previous history that you have with the department.
What history? Because do you have any drug samples that shows use?
Objection is
Yeah. Okay.
not relevant, Your Honor.
Not really.
I'll sustain. Ms. Burr, the issue is if you have prior CPS history, these folks are always going to look back at that to see what those things were about.
I get that, but meth use was not one of them because there was no meth use or prior history of that.
Okay,
So
well,
what?
ask Mr. Valdez questions.
I did. I just said, is
Okay.
there a drug screen that shows past meth use in any of my CPS cases?
It did specifically say meth. I said narcotics.
Okay, is there any past drug screens that shows use of narcotics in the history of my dealings with CPS?
I cannot recall at this time.
Is that an answer?
That is my answer. I cannot give you a definite answer.
You don't have do you not have the paperwork of my past cases?
Objection, Your Honor, argumentative.
But
I'll overrule your objection, Mr. Alvey, but I think he's answered the question. He doesn't know off the top of his head.
so would one be fair to say that he shouldn't state it as a known fact on the report?
Again, Your Honor, I'm going to object.
Okay. I'm done with that question. I'm moving on.
Argumentative, he's answered the question. Okay.
Okay, moving on. And
You're muted, ma'am. You're still muted. I can't hear you. Okay, Ms. Burr, you're muted. I can't hear you.
oh, it did mute?
Now it's unmuted. Just leave it alone.
Okay. Okay, let me get the correct date on there that he said this. Okay. October of 2023, you said there was concerns with mother and father getting into an altercation with Avery around. Why was there not a listed name in the place of mother and father?
What do you mean by that?
Well, everywhere else you have listed names and usually whenever you do a statement to the cops, you are supposed to put, or any statement, you put a name, not him or her. You apply the name to the person so they know who it's about. Why in that circumstance right there was there not listed an actual name?
Because in that particular intake that I received in October of 23, that is what the concern in that intake was.
Oh, so is mother meaning me?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that a fact? Do you have?
Yes.
Was it her?
Objection, Your Honor, as a misapplication of the facts. What Mr. Valdez is testifying is that he received a history report from the department. He didn't do the intake or the investigation in October. So he's not testifying as to the truth of the matter. He's just testifying that he got a report.
Okay, next question then. Did you show up at my mother's house, Heather Fixon, at that date, and you had read the first time you read me the form 3010? Did you show up and question it? Did I talk to you on the porch and you read that form to me and you told me that my mother was the one in questioning because of her behavior in front of Avery that she did to Avery's father?
That was an additional intake. And again, at that time, you would not speak to me either.
I did too. So I did not talk to you on the porch?
Briefly, and you wanted to set up a time for me to come back and you kept canceling. And then you told me your children didn't want to speak to me so that I didn't need to come back.
Correct. But I also told you that I was going to go through my own services
Objections
to ensure
to
the safety of my
statement.
children.
Okay.
Right?
Sustained, Ms. Burr. Ask him questions. You're
I
just
did.
making statements again.
Okay, I did. Didn't I tell you, did I or did I not tell you that I was going to continue with services of my own and go to counseling? And we set an appointment with Leanne. I told you to follow up. Did you do so?
I did, but then I closed that case out and like I told you the other day, this is a new intake that came in on totally different allegations.
From her
Okay,
mom's phone.
Okay, and after each one of these that you said in the CPS history, I noticed that you said that the department does not have extensive history with the family. And it starts in December, oh wait, the earliest one you have in here is from July 2022. And are you stating that there is no further, or no, February 2022? Are you stating that there wasn't any further history past February of 2022?
From what I was able to locate, that's what I was able to find, so that's what I stated.
So in these, can you point out to me in these circumstances that you say that you are able to find, these are the only ones that you were able to find, correct? That's listed here?
Objection, Your Honor, not relevant to whether or not we can continue an investigation
It
today.
is the case. I asked if these were the only ones you were able to find.
Hang on. I agree with you, Mr. Alvey. I'm going to give her some leeway just simply because she's not represented today. I'm going to give her a little leeway, but not a lot.
So if this isn't part of the case, why is it on this paper? Because I said this is all he could find. That's a question that's relevant. I just want to know if these are the only history he could find.
And he's answered that. He's answered that. He said yes.
Not yet, because he objected.
Mr. Alvey objected for a whole different reason. Okay.
Okay, well then I was unable to.
What you're asking him about is not terribly relevant to why we're here today. But I'm giving you some leeway and I'm allowing you to ask him a few questions. But he is
Okay,
answering.
well, I was unable to hear his response because the objection. So can I get that response? Is this all he found?
That's what I was able to locate, yes, ma'am.
Okay. In any of these allegations, were any of them listed as narcotics use, or that they had found I had narcotic use, or then they were all closed, correct?
No, ask that again, I'm sorry.
Okay, were all these closed?
Eventually, they were closed cases, yes.
In the investigation stage, or because they were completely opened and I went through?
I do not
Were-
recall the whole case at this time.
Okay, so were any of my children removed in any of these circumstances?
I know at one time Gage was removed from you.
Was he removed by y'all?
Again, Your Honor, I'm going to continue to object as irrelevant whether or not Gage
It
was
is,
removed.
I'll sustain the objection, Mr. Alvey. It has become irrelevant to the purpose of this hearing. So
Then it shouldn't be in here.
Ms.
Then it
Burt-
shouldn't be in here. If it's irrelevant, it shouldn't be here.
Ms. Burt.
So can we strike this from the record because it's not relevant, right?
Ms. Burt,
You're cutting out and breaking up.
okay. I'm just telling you, it's not relevant to what we're here to decide today. It is relevant.
Then can I motion for this to be struck from the record?
Okay, Ms. Brewer.
I didn't think so.
You moved it.
Even the phone thinks it's the bullshit. That's why it's cutting out.
No, ma'am, that's not what we're here
Well,
to do. What we need to focus on current intake.
y'all are going to focus on what y'all want to, and y'all are going to do what y'all want to do. This is very evident. So I'm going to file for a de novo, and we'll just continue this later because clearly, here's my children. But I'm not sending them with him because the last time I did that, they taught my daughter oral sex. I'm not going to let y'all take my children and talk to them because y'all are not licensed to do it properly. So that is my stand. And you're going to do what you want to do regardless. But my children are not physically hurt. And they're not going to leave willingly because they're not abused. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
Allow me to explain some things to you. I'm happy to
No,
do.
'cause you won't allow me.
I'm trying to tell you what we're
So-
here for and what we
I
need
know.
to focus on today.
I know what we're here for, but
It's-
y'all
it
want
has-
to focus.
It has
So
to
far,
do with the current intake.
yeah, y'all said it's irrelevant to the case is what y'all say.
No, listen to me. They put that information in the affidavits that are presented to me because it is relevant when I am considering what kind of risk that children may be at and what they may be at risk.
Tell me it's irrelevant.
No, it's irrelevant to what we're doing right now. It's
Why? That's what we're talking
information
about.
for me, it's relevant information for me to know whether
Then it
there's
shouldn't,
a
then it
hot-
needs to be striked from the record.
Ms.
If
Burr,
it's irrelevant information, then strike it.
Ms.
Because
Burr,
all I'm
I will
doing is
hold-
I'm asking questions from his investigation that you're calling relevant, but it's only relevant when I ask the questions. Then I guess this entire hearing is
Burr.
irrelevant. I'm
Ms.
going to
Burr.
file a de novo because I am
Burr.
done.
Ms. Burr, if you don't sit down
I'm sitting,
and quit,
but I'm done.
and quit arguing with me, I will remove you from the courtroom. And I
You
will-
aren't making sense.
do it
Well,
in
I'm asking
court.
you, remove me so I can go ahead and file a de novo because I'm done. You're
You
not giving me a fair
understand-
chance.
You understand, if you choose to leave this proceeding,
I'm not
we
leaving.
are going
I said.
forward. We are
I
going
said.
forward with this proceeding today. Do you understand that?
Okay, but we're no longer talking about anything on this paper because you said it's irrelevant.
You're not listening to me.
You're not listening to me.
I'm trying to explain it to you.
Oh, go ahead.
It's
Explain the
relevant.
corruption. Go ahead.
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
you
yes,
are
ma'am.
rapidly becoming the most disrespectful individual I have ever had in my courtroom.
Well, you're talking about my children here, and I will fight to the death for my kids. These are my children, and I love them, and you are taking everything that I stand for. So yes, I am going to be disrespectful because I'm dealing with somebody who is going to put my kids in harm's way because I have a child that has been abused by CPS. So
All right, Ms. Burr,
go for it, but I'm not going to
Stop.
let y'all take my kids and
Stop.
abuse them.
stop. Just
You
stop. Ma'am, I'm the decision maker here today.
till I
I
do a
don't-
de novo. You're not the over decision. You just make one right now.
I'm trying
But I
to
can
explain a
take
few things to you, and maybe it will calm you down.
You can't explain to me how it's relevant when he talks about it, but irrelevant when I talk about it.
I'm trying to, but you won't quit talking.
Because that's impossible to do, is to explain how it's relevant when he's talking, but impossible.
It is not impossible to explain if you will just allow me the opportunity to do so.
Speak. Go for it.
Ms. Brewer, don't get snippy with me. I'll have a sheriff's deputy up there in 30 seconds.
I gave you
They will
permission
take you into
Okay.
custody. Do you hear me?
for
I
telling you
won't
to
have
go.
contempt. So you better just watch your step. Do you understand me?
Yes. Can you explain to me how?
Yes, if you will shut up.
I did. I'm asking you to explain it.
All right. It is relevant. The reason they put that in the intakes, it's relevant information for me or any judge to know what the family history is with the department and at how big a risk the children might be based on past history. It is not relevant to whether or not I allow them to come in and interview the children or to see your home. This is a whole new intake, but it's just relevant for me to know, should I have just signed that order on Friday without giving you the opportunity to appear? Or did I feel like we could wait a day or two and let you appear and have your say? Okay, so I looked at the history and based on that, I decided I'm going to allow these parents to appear, to speak with me and to talk to me about this and why we're having such a difficult time letting the department take a look at your home and to interview the children. The children will be interviewed at the bridge. It will be a forensic interview. It will be done by experts. It will not be done by a department person. Okay.
Well, my kids aren't riding with him.
To answer another one of your problems with this today, if I decide to move forward with this, the children will be interviewed by expert individuals. Okay.
Okay. But you didn't explain to me how it was irrelevant when I asked about these things that you said are my history.
Because because it's irrelevant to the decision I'm making today. It was
I know.
relevant to me reading about it. But I have allowed you to ask Mr. Valdez some questions about it. I've given you some leeway
What's
on it.
relevant? But he said that they weren't true facts. You said that. He said that.
Well,
And
he is reading from the department's records. He wasn't involved in them. He's just, all he said
but y'all
is
keep
all
saying
he
they're
has
facts.
said is that that's what's in the record. Okay?
Well, I feel like I strike, because that's irrelevant because they're not proven facts.
And you
So
know,
it should be used and it should be striked from the record because honestly, if it were true, then they wouldn't have closed these cases.
okay.
So I feel like that's irrelevant to put them on here on account of they were closed and the allegations were false. So you're putting stuff on here that I didn't do.
Ms. Brewer,
Let me guess, that's irrelevant? Okay.
Ms. Brewer, I
Nope.
gave you some leeway with this. I'm not going to argue this point with you anymore. Do you have any other questions you want to ask Mr. Valdez?
Yes.
I would like to get this finished so I can hurry up and file my de novo. Thank you. So y'all just finish as you need necessary. We'll sit here
Huh?
and I will mute y'all.
Mr. Cipher? Mr. Cipher, do you have any questions for this witness?
I wouldn't waste your time.
And you're muted, sir. I muted you because you kept making comments and interrupting, so you'll need to unmute.
Huh.
And I'm
There's
gonna
your
mute
answer,
Mr. Brewer,
Robert.
I'm muting you.
I guess I don't have any questions, but I don't live at said address or whatever, 24.
Again, Mr. Cipher, this is when you can ask Mr. Valdez questions.
Okay, I ain't got a
I'll let
question
you
for him.
tell
I'm
me.
never-
I'll let you tell me what you want to tell me, but not right now. Ask him questions if you have any questions.
Okay, I don't have no questions.
All right. Okay, Mr. Alvey, anything further of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Does the department have any further witnesses?
We have no further witnesses, Your Honor. At this time, we rest.
All right. Okay. Now, Ms. Brewer, this is your opportunity to tell me what you want to tell me as long as it's relevant to this current intake, because that's all we're here to talk about right now. So you'll have to unmute. I can't hear you. You're muted. I can't hear you. Okay, while we're trying to get her unmuted, Mr. Cipher, I'm going to allow you go ahead. Is there anything that you want to tell me about this current intake? And you'll have to unmute your device too.
The altercation in October of 2023 was not me and Ashley Brewer. It was her mom threatening me with a gun.
Okay, this has nothing to do with October. This has to do with, I'm asking you, do you have anything you want to tell me about this current intake?
I don't live at that address where Ashley lives or whatever. I don't know where they live. 24. I don't live there.
Okay, anything else you want to tell me about this current intake?
I guess not.
Okay.
Maybe ask her what that intake in October is.
Ms. Brewer. Okay, before we get started, Ms. Brewer, I'm going to ask you the same thing. Is there anything else you want to talk about or tell me about this current intake? I am not taking those. Let me just make it clear. I am not taking those prior intakes into consideration today. They play no part in what we are doing today. Okay?
Okay. Okay. First question. So then what part is being taken in this
The new-
situation today?
The new allegations, ma'am.
Okay, of physical abuse and neglect. Okay. And during the investigation he has done so far, if we're only taking that into consideration, not the history, well, then, okay, the allegations were physical abuse and physical neglect, no food, no electricity. And the thing is, I get my mail and I take showers over at that address because that is a cousin of mine on my dad's side. And that is where I get my mail because I wasn't getting it otherwise because me and my mother are not speaking at all. And she's keeping my mail from me. I tried to go to the post office. They want $80 for a P.O. box. I don't have it. I asked them to hold my mail and I'll just go pick it up from them, but they said they will not stop mail from going to my mother's. So I put that address in place because I needed to be able to get my mail. Now, I do shower there and me and the kids go hang out with my cousin because I just got in touch with her again. However, we do not live there. Now, hotels are where we're staying. And every once in a while, we may stay the night with my cousin whenever it's gotten too expensive. But Robert does not stay there. There is no proof, but we do have children. So we have to have some way of him getting his visitations because we are also set up through the Attorney General by law. He has rights to see these kids. And I want him to see these kids. I am not, in my eyes, a victim and I don't approve of them, but we're trying to go by them the best we can and also trying to abide by our previously set up court. With the Attorney General, we have to go by what we're court ordered to do. So yes, we have to find somebody, a median, to take these kids back and forth. And so if you're making your decision based on this case that has been brought to your attention, in doing so, he goes and he says that what investigation he has done so far is he's seen the kids from afar. And I feel like even if I saw one of them kids in Africa that are starving and whatever, if I saw them from afar, I'm going to know that they are in need. Now, my children are healthy, but also the school, who is up close and personal daily, because even though it says we don't take them regularly, we do, but their tardies do add up to an absence. Full absent days is probably 4 this entire year for all of them, that they missed a whole day, 2 of which consisted of dealing with, we went to counseling for one of them, and I believe this is another one. And the other times they were sick and they sent him home on another one. Now, the tardies, yes, I will take my part and blame. It's due to I can't afford a good vehicle. Sometimes we have a problem getting there. We're further away. We've been going through a lot, and it's been very hard for me to keep everything tight and in shape and get there on time. And yes, it is 3 kids, and they disagree a lot. And if it's not one, it's another. But yes, those are excuses. But I do the best I can. But they're there every day. Now, given that the school even said they have never, and that's both schools for all 3 children, they have never had any concern of their physical appearance or that they're overly hungry or that they look dirty or anything. And so given the fact that you see them today, so it's not just hearsay. Where did your older brother go? He's way back there. Given that these children are not underweight, they are not, they have no bruises, they have no scratches, they look happy. They're here supporting me, not because they're forced. They were laughing in the beginning because they can't believe that you make these accusations about the parents that they love. Now, if you're thinking, and I never said he couldn't investigate, I always cooperate to a point. with CPS every time. That's why these get closed. But nobody asked why I didn't have time to hear him read me that long paper that morning on the porch. Is because I had something to attend for my oldest son's school. It was a hearing that we were having about his education, his ARD meeting. So I had something that was more important than CPS's stupid allegations that I deal with constantly when it comes to my child's education. So no, I did not have time for that nonsense that I know is nonsense when I have something more important, my child's education, to deal with. So I am more than happy to let him see my kids, but they will not talk to them alone because they have taught my kids things that I did not intend for them to know at that early of an age. They have the abuse that they have done to my oldest son when he first dealt with CPS that y'all have no history of. Surprise. I'm not surprised, but he is here. He is the history and he remembers every bit of it, all the way to the color of the car he got into. And this kid don't remember a whole lot of things, but he remembers those because it was traumatizing to him for what y'all did, not what I was accused of. This is why I feel a certain way. And am I disrespectful and am I emotional? Yes, ma'am, I am. Because this is my world. These are my kids. You show me a parent that isn't emotional, and that's who you need to be dealing with. That's who needs to have their kids taken, because I will fight for these kids. I will give my life for these kids. And I take care of them to the best of my ability, and they are well taken care of. I do not coach them into any of these things. And if you want to continue with this, help this whole situation. I will give them permission to go forward in whatever little bit of investigating he needs to do, but he will not leave with my children, and he will not speak to them unsupervised by anybody and be alone with my kids because I don't trust it. Last time they taught my daughter some very bad things, and I'm not proud of it. And now because I don't have the money to go after that, I had to sit back and do nothing and just let that happen.
All right,
Now-
Ms. Burger. Okay, you're not telling me anything new at this point, okay?
Actually, I am. I'm telling you, I'll let him do his investigation, but if it goes further, I'm filing a de novo.
I've heard it. I've heard what you've said. So we're not covering new ground here. So, all right. I appreciate what you've said to me. I think you have some misconception about what we're trying to do. I sense that you feel like this is legal removal of your children, and it isn't.
No, not yet.
It is not that. So, based on what I've heard today, I am going to sign the order in aid of investigation and permit the department access to wherever it is that you are living. So if you telling me you are not living in that home, I need to know where you are living.
Hotel. I reserve it sometimes 3 nights at a time, sometimes 1 night at a time. It's kind of cheaper. It just depends on the app and what deals I can find to make it affordable.
Okay, so is the home that he came to, are you saying is not where you live?
That's where my mail goes, and that's where we go visit because that's my cousin, and we're.
But let me just ask a few questions. Is that where the children's belongings are?
Sometimes when we shower, but only some belongings. Our belongings are in storage. I have 3 storage units full of our belongings.
So are you telling me that essentially you're homeless right now and staying in motels?
People do that all the time.
Yeah, while we're looking for a house, yes.
All right. So I'm going to have you communicate with Mr. Valdez about where you are living, and I'm going to order that he can see where you are living, even though that may be in a hotel. And you know, I just will say to you, it is concerning to me that you're living in a hotel with 3 children. It's not the greatest arrangement, but it is a roof over their head, and there presumably are working utilities. I'll tell you straight up, your children's appearance today seems fine. You understand that these intakes come in and they are allegations. that the law says have to be investigated. I will tell you that my biggest single concern about everything is whether or not you and Mr. Cipher are violating that bond condition. If you have had to do that to exchange the children, I'm telling you, you guys need to get that figured out in a hurry, because Mr. Cipher, that's going to come back and you're the one that's going to pay the price for that. I understand you want to see your kids, but you guys have got to pick.
We haven't had contact.
You've got to pick somebody to help you all exchange the children.
We
We
have,
do.
and that's the thing is we are waiting for the court to
Okay.
go through and drop those.
Bro, I let you talk without interrupting you. I'm going to ask you to do the same. So, all right, if you've established a way to get the children exchanged where you all are not having contact, that's great. Okay. I'm also going to allow the department to take or have the bridge forensically interview the children, just to eliminate any other concern. Ms.
How are
Brewer,
they getting there?
Ms. Brewer, you will take them
Okay.
to the bridge, but you will not be present during the interview. Mr. Valdez, do you know when that could possibly be done?
I do not yet. I was waiting after today's hearing to contact them and try to set that up.
Okay, so Ms. Brewer, whenever he gets that appointment time set up, you are under a court order to be there with the children. Okay?
Got a question.
And then they will be interviewed by the experts at the bridge.
I have a
Okay.
question.
What's your question?
Now, I want to state this on the record. If I do take, if it's ordered and I take them to the bridge, that does not mean that I am agreeing to comply in anything else that comes up afterwards. I am specifically complying to let them talk.
I
Now,
understand that.
if something comes up, which it won't, but if it does, but I also am asking and
That would
demanding.
be, Ms. Brewer, if something else comes up, it would be an entirely new investigation, an entirely new intake.
Okay, and I also request
All I
that
am authorizing the department to do today is to have access to where you're living and to have the children forensically interviewed at the bridge. That's
okay,
it.
also, I want to request that each of my children, I may not be in the interview, but I request that they take their own recorder in there with them.
No, ma'am.
Then
No.
I deny it, because I don't know what y'all do with my kids, and I know what they have said to them, and I don't approve it.
Do you
They will
understand?
have their own recorder.
Do you
It won't.
understand what the bridge is?
But
Why
those
can't
are
I
our
record
children.
my own?
That's
That's
right.
So really, I could send them in with a recorder and you not know, and it's still legal.
It is illegal.
No,
No,
only
it's
one
not.
party has to know about it, and they know about
Okay.
it.
All right. I'm not going to debate the law with you folks, but
Are you saying that that's not the law?
excuse me,
That's why she's an associate judge.
in a forensic interview of a child, there are rules.
Okay. I'll follow de novo.
The bridge is called the Children's Advocacy Center.
Really?
Those people are there to advocate and protect children. So if there's
I need
no,
to go back to work though.
you got nothing to worry about.
So can we get to the end of this? Because sure, they do what you think you need to do, and if I feel like it's out of line, I will follow de novo. And if you know my kids will,
I've rendered my order.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna file de novo anyway
Love
because
you. Y'all behave.
I've
Right.
rendered my order. The department's granted access to where she lives. She's ordered to tell Mr. Valdez where that is. And you will present the children at the bridge, Children's Advocacy Center at the time that Mr. Valdez.
Depends on what the de novo says.
Love y'all
Because
kids. Y'all
I'm filing
behave.
for that. So I guess it's all gonna be on hold still because I'm
Okay.
filing a de novo.
Thank
'Cause
y'all.
You're just an.
Ms. Burr.
Thank you. Say bye, kids.
Bye-bye.
Where'd the eldest go? Oh, say bye, Gage.